What's good, everybody? Is when I come back at you another video. This video is going to be about abundance and to explain to you guys why abundance is in fact your birthright. Now, many people do not believe this to be true or to be the case, and that is because you were likely taught to believe otherwise by other people, whether it can be, your parents growing up, people in your environment, other people that you've heard feel otherwise and believe otherwise, and so their beliefs, their thoughts and their beliefs got passed along to you. However, this is in fact true. Abundance meaning having access to everything, anything and everything, right? That is your birthright because that has been given to you since birth. And people will disagree with that notion. However, it's crystal clear that it's a thing, right? It's crystal clear because you were born with a mind. You have the ability to think for yourself, to rationalize, right? We're one of the few creatures who can do that. And on top of that, we have access to an imagination, right? We have access to the mind, which the mind is the most powerful device in all of the planet because our minds are like supercomputers. It can solve any problem that arises. It will look for the answers. It'll basically do what it is being told. So if you want it to work for you and serve you, you can do that. If you give it the power and the instructions to become destructive, it can also do that as well. And so that is entirely up to you. But you were also given the gift of imagination, right? And we need to remember with imagination is this: with your mind, you can imagine anything. You can create anything. You can create things that have not existed in the physical world and bring it to life, right? Because creation is from the inside out. And what you also need to remember is everything that exists around you, with the exception of nature, was created in the mind of someone. It was created in the mind of man, right? Someone or woman, right? Anyone had an idea. Say this pen, for example. Someone had an idea of a writing instrument that runs on ink, right? And that began first as an idea, and then it was put forward into the physical world until it was made possible. So this is why abundance is your birthright, because you have access to the same imagination that everyone else has access to. That same imagination that has led to products being created, that has led to solutions, that has led to everything in this planet. You have access to that same power, but you also have access to the divine energy that exists, right? The same energy that created the universe, right? The universal energy that created this planet, that created the rainforest, the mountains, the vast seas, right? All this, you share that same energy and you are always tapped into that same energy. So this is why abundance is your birthright, because that can never be taken away from you. You can never be separated from the universal energy. You can never have your imagination taken away from you, right? Because that will always exist. You will always have access to it. So with your mind, you can create anything. So how is it that abundance is not your birthright when you've had it your entire time, right? And the world is meant to be abundant because each and every one of us are different, right? If the world was not meant to be abundant, then human beings would all be identical, right? We would all look the same. We would all be the same height. We would all share the same personality, but it's not that. Each and every person is different, meaning that we each operate from our unique perspective and vantage point. And that allows us to experience a wide array of experiences and expressions, right? That's why people are all different. People have different ideas. People have different hobbies. Some people may like painting. Some people may like cooking. Some people may like whatever it is, right? And we get to see it all and experience it all. So this world is all about expansion and fuller expression. And sometimes it's like when you see a new creation, right, that sparks an idea for something else, something new that can be created in this world. So that's all. This is why this all ties into abundance, because abundance is infinite supply, it's unlimited. And as you experience life, it's all about fuller expression. It's all about trying new things, growing, expanding, and this abundance will always exist within you. So this is why abundance is your birthright. Now, I'm talking about finances, right? One of the favorite lines that most people like to say, contrary to abundance, is the idea that money doesn't grow on trees, right? We've all heard this as a kid, and the funny part is the people that say it definitively. They say it as a statement. They say it as a concrete fact that, you know, cannot be disproven. But the problem with that is that there are people out there that do live like that. Now, of course, we're not talking about physical money, you know, grown on a tree, right? Like that's not a real thing. Of course, it's being said figuratively, right? Money doesn't grow on trees, basically saying, oh, money can't come easy to you, that if you want to make money, you have to work hard and bust your behind for it. But that statement is not true, because there are people out there where money does in fact grow on trees for them, because money flows into their life so easy and effortlessly, no different than breathing, no different than just existing and going through the motions. But that's the best way I can explain it. Like, money flows into life as simple as breathing. They just exist, and money somehow, some way flows into their life. So it can't be that money doesn't grow on trees, right? That can't be a definitive fact or statement, because there are people out there where that's the case for them, right? So money can in fact grow on trees, right? It can in fact grow on trees, and that can happen if someone decides to have the right setup, right? And in order to have the right setup, ideally you would need access to the right information, because information changes circumstance, right? People can go from being broke and having poverty surround them to becoming very wealthy by having access to the right information, by learning the right information. Now, let me give you guys an example for you to, let me paint a picture for you guys, right? So you can see it. Just imagine, in order to plant this money tree, right, you need a pot, right? You need to fill the pot with the seed that you want to grow into a tree. You need to fill it with soil, right? Good soil, and water the seed each and every day so that it can grow into a plant, right? The reason why money doesn't grow on trees for most people, the reason why they can't plant money tree, even though everyone has access to their own money tree. Why? Because each and every person was born rich. You were born rich because you have access to a mind that can solve any problem. You have access to an imagination that can create anything you want, absolutely anything. You have access to the universal energy. So you were in fact born rich. It's just, the difference is that people lack the awareness of that. People are not aware of it, and they don't tap into the side enough, right? So just imagine that is a setup that you need: a pot, a seed, a soil, and the water, right? Let's say everyone has the pot and the seed, right? There are many people out there who have their pot, they have the seed in it. However, they put rancid soil in their pot to cover the seed. And these are generally people who are closed-minded, or people who are always negative, right? That they can have a good idea about something, but they'll immediately shut it down. Like, they won't ever give it any thought. They can have a desire and then tell themselves, oh, that will never happen, or I'm not good enough, or this can never happen, or this and that, right? And they'll shoot down any idea of anything that can help lead them towards where it is that they want to go, right? Some people can have the beliefs that they're not good enough, that like they're not smart enough, they're not this, whatever it is, right? We all know someone like that. It could be yourself. It could be self-talk that you give yourself, right? Which, of course, that doesn't help you. But these people can have rancid soil. And so for most of these people, even if you try watering it, nothing is going to happen, because the soil itself is bad. And most of the people, especially closed-minded people, they don't ever even water their plant, because they don't ever search for new knowledge, right? Life is a game of information, right? Because if people have access to the right information, are able to change their circumstances. Because if you come across good information, that information can have you questioning your own beliefs and the way you've been operating. And if there's ever a new idea that makes your previous way of thinking and functioning false or obsolete, then it would make sense to adopt that new idea, right? If there's a new idea that can help you get better, right? And completely, because you could believe something, right? Like you could have a belief that you're not good enough, and then you come across information that you could be either have anything in his lifetime. And you begin to tell yourself, well, let me just adopt this idea and this belief because this makes a lot more sense, right? With that new belief, you are going to be taking action. You are going to be operating differently because you now understand and believe that you can have anything in this lifetime. So you're no longer going to just accept breadcrumbs or accept whatever life throws at you, right? These people who are closed-minded are not even going to go out of their way to search for new information. They're going to believe that it's a waste of their time, that reading is dumb, that, there's no point in investing in yourself because why invest in yourself when you could just save that money to pay bills, not knowing that investing in yourself is the greatest investment that you can make, because as you invest in yourself, you're growing, you're becoming better, you're becoming wiser beyond your years. And sometimes in order for you to get something you've never received before in life, it requires you to become someone or something that you've never been before. It requires you to stretch yourself and to grow and to get better, right? But many people, they don't see the benefit in that because they're comfortable where they're at. And they complain about the same problem and they have the same problem year after year after year, decade after decade. And that problem persists because they've never done anything to change it. They've never done anything to improve themselves. These are the closed-minded people. They don't see a benefit to it, right? No matter how many ways you paint it out for them, they stop growing, they stop learning, they don't see a benefit to it. And what you need to remember is this: if you're not growing, then you're effectively being left behind. Because even if you remain the same, the rest of the world is changing, the rest of the world is improving, the rest of the world is moving forward. So if you remain the same but the rest of the world is moving forward, then that means by default you are moving backwards. That is the logic right there, right? Technology is always advancing, and there's people who are still stuck in their ways that refuse to use a computer or refuse to use an iPhone, right? Like whatever it is, right? But you see how that person will effectively be left behind the curve. Just what I mean. People who have rancid soil are people who are closed-minded, who are stuck in their ways, who are stubborn, who refuse to ever learn new information or refuse to get better and improve. Now, you have other examples of people who they can have their pot, right? And they can have the seed and they can fill it up with normal soil or great soil, right? And have the soil be fertile, have everything be prepared. However, these people simply just don't water their plants. And these could be people who are oozing with potential, that have so much greatness within them that you can tell, like their smile, they just it just lights up a room. That these are people that are just great people, that are honest, hardworking, right? Like everything that's great about them, but they just don't water their plant, and they just may not be aware of it, right? They just, for whatever reason, may not be investing in themselves, and it could be because of youth, right? It could be because maybe they just haven't gotten to that stage in their life yet. But there are people out there who have a perfectly good setup, but they simply just aren't watering their plant at all, or maybe they might do it very sparingly. Now, for you to develop that money tree, you want to have, of course, a seed. You want to have fertile soil, right? Really great soil, and you want to make sure you are watering your plant each and every day and checking up on it. And the way you water your plant is by constantly learning new information, constantly investing in yourself, growing and expanding and getting better. Because as you invest in yourself, that is when you realize how many more levels there are to it, how much further you can go, how much more you can improve as a person to then get to where it is that you need to go. And ultimately, the more you improve as a person, the more you show up, the more you refine yourself as a human being, the more you can obviously have and obtain and receive in this lifetime. So that is how you can plant and grow your own money tree, by acknowledging and accepting that you are valuable, that you can be, do or have anything, that you were in fact born rich, that you have so much to offer in this world. And all it takes is just you honing in on your skills and constantly showing up and constantly improving. That's how it all works. Most people give up on themselves, not knowing that they themselves were the X factor, that they themselves were the hidden treasure they were searching for, right? The treasure that you're searching for, right? You see how in the movies, the pirates, they're always traveling overseas looking for the treasure chest full of gold, right? They're always traveling off to a far distant land, right? So you watch these movies and think, your gold is far in a distant land as well, but it's never, your gold is right where you stand, because the goal this entire time has been you. You have been the goal the entire time. And most people give up on themselves not knowing that they they were the gold, right? Because you were born rich. So you yourself, you are the money tree, right? You are the money tree, and you have the power each and every day to decide if you are going to water, right? If you are going to place it with the appropriate soil, with fertile soil, and if you're going to water it each and every day. I made the vow to myself that I was going to continue watering this plant, that I was going to continue learning, growing, and expanding, because I want to see how far I can take it. But I understand, as I began and continued investing in myself, that's when I realized, like, the more I learned about myself, it basically meant the more I learned about other people too, because I'm no different than other people. So as I began learning and understanding myself, I now better understand other people, and I can see that same potential and that same greatness within each and every person that I cross paths with, right? So when people say money doesn't grow on trees, that's incorrect, right? Because obviously it's figurative, right? It's figuratively speaking, but there are people out there who that is their reality. So to say money doesn't grow on trees, that's incorrect. It just may not be your reality, right? It may not be whoever's saying it, it might not be that person's reality, but that person's reality doesn't have to be your reality, right? If that's what you want, if that's your dream, if that's something you desire, wanting to have a money tree and wanting for money to grow on trees, you can make that a reality. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. Once again, because you have an imagination, you can imagine your life that way. You can imagine that happening. And imagination is almost you, pretty much you watching the movie, the preview of what your future life is, of what it has in store. So you can create that if you so choose, because you are the money tree, right? It's just people, they don't look at their setup, they don't make adjustments. People who have rancid soil, of course, they can eventually switch out the soil into fertile soil, but some of those folks who are closed-minded and just refuse to learn, refuse to grow, their setup is going to remain the same. It's not a suitable environment for the seed to grow, so the seed won't grow, so it'll remain the same, and that's why their life stays the same. But as you begin investing in yourself, right, if you adjust your setup to make sure it is suitable to grow, and you water the seed each and every day by investing in yourself, same way how you feed your body each and every day, you need to feed your mind with the right information, right? So as you begin watering that seed each and every day, it's growing, it's growing, it's growing, you checking up on it, it's growing, it's growing. That is how you build your own money tree. And if you're someone that's a great person with a great heart, with great intentions, right, your money tree is going to be appreciated by other people, because you are going to bless other people along the way. You are going to help so many people and improve the quality of their lives, and just make a difference in your own life and the lives of the people that are important to you, and also leave a lasting impact in other people, and also empower other people to plant their own trees, right? It's almost like you can have your tree fully grown, and then you can show other people, hey, look, this is what's possible. And then because people can see that it's possible, they'll now go after it, right? Rather than just being told money doesn't grow on trees, and then that is the end of that, right? That is not correct, because there are people out there who that is their reality for them, that money flows into their life just as easy as breathing and existing. It just flows, right? So if it happens for some people, then it can happen for others, then it can happen for anyone. So that's more than enough proof that money does in fact grow on trees, and you can make it happen. Now, it may take some time to get there, right? But that is okay. Well, it doesn't have to take time. It can happen in a snap of a finger. But what I'm saying is, if it does take time, that's okay, right? Because as long as you continue heading in the right direction, that's what matters, and enjoy the journey along the way. So I say this to highlight to you guys once again that abundance is your birthright, because you've had access to this power and this gift since birth. The power that you have access to is omnipotent. It is divine power. It's God power. Don't take that for granted, right? Don't just let it go to waste. Use it for something positive. Use it to improve your life, and use it to help other people, as many people as you can. So This video here is all about abundance to remind you that you have access to it. It's just most people are just unaware of it, and most people are oblivious to it because that's just what they've been conditioned. They've just been conditioned to believe that life is hard, that everything's tough, right? What everything negative, and they believe it because they've heard it so many times by so many people in their corner and so many people who's close to them and has lived there. You know, whether it's parents, family, teachers, whatever you hear all the time. But life is not meant to be hard. Life is not meant to be a struggle, right? You were meant to enjoy yourself. You put it on this earth to have fun and experience outrageous joy and enjoy the life you have here. That is how life was intended. That is the abundance of it. And so if that's not what you're experiencing, then it's because you've probably just steered off of the original path, and you just need a little nudge and a reminder like, hey, this is how your life is intended, and this is how it's supposed to be, and I want you back on this path, right? So just remember that abundance is your birthright, and you want to operate from an abundance mindset. Believe that opportunity exists exactly where you stand. That believe that you're good enough, believe that you're capable, that you have the Midas touch, that you could be, do, or have anything in this lifetime, and live by that. Operate like that, and you will begin to see how your life begins to change. So that wraps up the video. You enjoyed the video, do leave a like and subscribe as we are on the road to a million subscriber, guys. So once again, it's Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.